Kangaroo Island is Australia's Galapagos, 8 miles off the coast of South Australia. It's one of the world's last unspoilt refuges. Here you can see koalas and kangaroos roaming free, and you can also see sea lions frolic on the world's most beautiful beaches. This video is going to show just what makes it such a special place, and to help us on our tour is KI expert Craig Wickham.
If people are visiting Australia and they really want to experience authentic Australia, I think Kangaroo Island is a must. There is so many things that people associate with all of Australia, whether it's the red dirt roads, sheep and cattle farms, the beautiful beaches, rugged coastline, eucalyptus trees stretching off to the horizon, the wildlife experience. The wildlife habitat is both on private properties as well as in the parks, and the range of animals you can see in the wild: kangaroos, wallabies, possums, echidnas, sea lions, fur seals, all sorts of beautiful birds. Great local produce, the food and wine scene, and some friendly locals, all in one place.
Coming up, a look at the island's history and heritage, food and drink, places to stay and things to do. But first, let's see why Kangaroo Island is second to none when it comes to viewing Australia's native animals. This is Seal Bay, one of only 2 places in the world where you can walk amongst a breeding colony of rare Australian sea lions.
Here at Seal Bay we have the 3rd largest colony of Australian sea lions. This species of animal are only found in Australia, and they are a protected species. There's only believed to be about 10,000 left in the wild. When you come to Seal Bay, you can come down onto the beach on a guided tour to observe the animals. On the guided tour, obviously, you get information from a guide, you can ask questions, you have the opportunity to take lots of photos, and you're getting about 10 metres away from the animals. Usually when tourists or visitors come down, they're just in a state of awe. They can't believe how many animals you are usually seeing on the beach. We can have anywhere up to half of our colony down here at once. So it's a beautiful place where you can come and observe the animals in their natural environment.
Further west on the south coast is Flinders Chase National Park, which is teeming with more of the kind of creatures you come to Australia to see. The park is also where you'll find Cape de Coodie, and a close relation to the Australian sea lions, New Zealand fur seals. And these seals are obviously a bit fussy when it comes to choosing a hangout. They've made their home under the stunning Admiral's Arch. And it's not the only geological wonder based in the park. These are the remarkable rocks, the most photographed site on the island. It's thought that the strange shapes are caused by swirling air, which, when it's carrying sand and water, causes the cup-shaped depressions in the rocks.
From a natural history perspective, Kangaroo Island is very, very old. Some of the sediments that underlie Kangaroo Island go back to 1,000 million years old. So it was originally connected to the mainland, and global sea level changes have resulted in the island either being connected or isolated many, many times over the years. So the wildlife that we get here, the plants we get here, to some degree they've had some topping up from the mainland, but there's a lot of isolation. We've got, for example, 45 species of plants that are found nowhere else on Earth.
Fast forward a few thousand years to 1802, and that's when the first Europeans set foot on the island, led by Captain Matthew Flinders. The crew on his boat couldn't find any people, but what they did find was needed most of all: fresh food in the form of kangaroos. So Flinders named the island after the first thing he had for lunch. A few years later, in 1836, this place, Reeves Point, became the first European settlement on both the island and South Australia. The island's history can also be seen in its architecture. This is a place called Stranraer. It used to be a sheep station, now it's a fine bed and breakfast with colonial touches inside and out.
The house is quite different and quite unique to Kangaroo Island, mainly because the limestone was dug up out the paddock, and as you dig up limestone it will harden in 24 hours, so you've got to work with it fairly well, and the outside was just chiselled and axed into shape. It is a historic house, and we haven't tried to alter that historic part of it, but we've given them the modern conveniences.
You even get a great view of the next generation of Australian sports stars strutting their stuff. But if you prefer your accommodation to have a coastal view, you are on an island, so you're spoilt for choice. In fact, when it comes to beaches, you're officially in the best place in Australia. This is Vivon Bay. Extensive research by Sydney University professor Andrew Short has proclaimed it to be the best beach in the country. Now, sadly, Professor Short can't be with us, but we do have the next best thing, the ever-reliable Craig. Now, Craig, tell me, what are the results based on?
Well, Professor Short was able to get funding to study 10,000 beaches around Australia. He basically had a matrix and he checked out water quality, sand colour, diversity of recreational things you can do. I mean, here at Vivon you can go fishing off the jetty, the beach, in a boat, in the river, the surfing, the snorkelling on the reefs here, all sorts of things. And from a development point of view, all the houses that are here, little holiday homes, are tucked back behind the dunes. So you can be down here and feel like you're miles from anyone.
And I presume you agree with the assessments?
Absolutely, it's science.
And there's even more sand in this place, but a lot less water. This is Little Sahara. Yes, it provides a stark contrast to the conservation areas and rugged coastline of the rest of Kangaroo Island. These white sand dunes make you feel like you're in a desert rather than a flourishing island. The clean and green character of the island is very much reflected in the food and drink found here. Not only is there some of the finest seafood available in Australia, but also some wonderful wine, and you'll find both here at Two Wheeler Creek.
Basically here, what we have is a product that has three different themes to it. One started off 10 years ago with the idea of marron. Marron's a giant freshwater crayfish, and they exist only on Kangaroo Island, a certain part of Western Australia.
This is the male marron. It's got the larger claws compared to the female, and it's very, very feisty. If you put your finger anywhere near it, it'll hang on and it won't let go. That's why you really need to look after their claws. Yeah, watch out.
The next idea was to try and make some wine. We can make a nice cold climate wine, especially the whites here. So, for example, we have nice Chardonnay and a sublime little Sauvignon Blanc. Anyway, the next step was, well, if we've got good food and we've got good wine, well, what do we do next? Well, we've got to cook it and prepare it. So that's where the idea of the cafe came in. We're out here in the middle of the ocean, there's no pollution, there's nothing that can get to us. So this is just to give you a little idea. If you want to taste Australia, you come to KI.
All in all, Kangaroo Island is truly magical. It's where you can find all of Australia in one place. Back in 1802, for the storm-battered sailors aboard the first ship that came here, it was a place of sanctuary and recovery. Nowadays, for the modern traveller, all at sea from hectic living, it still is.